We're live at the home of the Dirt Car Nationals, Volusia Speedway Park. It's another edition of Monday Night Madness for the Extreme E-Speed TV Coast to Coast Racing League. It's the first of two drop weeks as we begin to end the spring season. This is one of the most exciting tracks the Coast to Coast Racing League goes to, and you will see why in just a little bit. So glad you could join us on another edition of Monday Night Madness. Marty Scala with you, alongside a couple of guys. First one, the Professor John Hine. And John, I'll begin with you. How excited are you always when we go to Volusia?
I'm always looking forward to this track. It's fun from a driver's standpoint. You get to choose lanes. Sometimes the top is there, some points of time the middle, some points of time the bottom. You really got to read the track, keep up with it. Makes it a lot of fun from the driver's seat.
I'll bring in as well the Bassman, Roger Craig. Roger, we didn't see this one on the regular season schedule last year, but we were here during last season's charity event, the Winter Nationals, and now it's back. From a driver's perspective, how excited are they?
This is always one of the favorite tracks of all, well, most of the drivers anyways. And I just want to jump on something that John said about the multiple lanes. We've got our charity event coming up week 13, and we're going to have a high limits race, and we're going to, in the feature, have lane choice. So that should be really, really exciting to see if we can pull that off.
Absolutely. Well, we are set to go. Rebels about to take shape. Rebels are brought to you by our good friends at Langdon Mechanical. So here we go for heat race number one. Drivers are on the track. Heat race number one is brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies, quality racing bodies, produced by Dan Chapman in the iRacing hotbed of Clarence, Iowa. Here's the starting lineup. The detective, Steven Spees, next to Steve Maurer. That is row number one. Gary Offa and JR. John Rayner, row number two. Row number three, making his Rebels debut, Cole Ferguson, the 081. Next to your points leader, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Running out row four this evening, John Krupa on the outside in the number 5. Next to the mayor, Steve Bixler in car number 75.
And Cole is new guy, just transferred from the Raiders and all the way from Australia. So we're always glad to have the Aussies on board.
So it's morning for Cole Ferguson. Nice little wake-up call to his Tuesday, I guess you could say, while it's Monday on the East Coast. Winner of this heat starts on pole. Enjoy this one, we're green. And Steven Spees gets off to the early start. Steve Maurer second, Gary Offutt, Cole Ferguson, Joseph Grandy in a three-way battle for third. It's Ferguson with the preferred line, but off at turn number 4. Offutt's got control of the 3 spot. And Grandy almost gets turned. Instead, it's Ferguson that gets a wake-up call once again in turn 2. John, that was risky.
It was, and it looked like a little bit of net code happened there, the way those cars hooked together. Now we got more contact.
Maurer and Offutt with the slide job, but Roger, you ain't seen nothing yet.
No, there's plenty more to come tonight.
3 laps complete in heat race number 1. Again, Spees leads by just about a second on Joseph Grandy and Bixler. Wow, what a save as he and Maurer just made some slight contact. Group now underneath on Steve Maurer for the 4 spot. Everybody gets in regardless because we've got under 24 drivers on the car count for the Rebels this evening.
Someone ought to tell these boys that this is just a heat race. They're out there knifing each other. Good racing, though.
Steven Spees has checked out big time. He is running laps better than anybody else out here. Continues to maintain a 1-second deficit. Joseph Grandy still in the second position. And a good lead entering today when it comes to points if you do include 2 provisional drops. Maurer and Bixler, the closest battle out there. That's for the 5th position. White flag is out, 1 lap to go for Steven Spees to start on pole position. Anytime he races, he's a contender. Off turn 4, he starts from pole. Grandy second off at 3rd, Krupa 4th, Bixler 5th, Maurer 6th, Rayner 7th, Ferguson 8th. Again, if you are new to the Coast to Coast Racing League, here's how our typical night goes on Monday night. We set the heat lineups via pill draw. There is no qualifying. Heats are 8 laps. If there's over a 24 driver car count, top 4 drivers transfer into the feature. If there are over 24, we then move to a B main that is 10 laps, and normally it's the top 8 if we have 4 heats. If it's 5 heats, though, sometimes the rare 5 heat, then we take the top 4. Features after the 3-minute warm-up are 30 laps for the Rebels and 35 laps for the Renegades. Heat race number 2, let's move on to that. Brought to you by Langdon Mechanical. Langdon Mechanical, the second to none heat and air conditioning company in the Hamilton area. Their professionally trained Langdon specialists will be there personally every step of the way, guaranteeing your customer satisfaction from start to finish, including sales, installation, and maintenance service of your heating and or cooling system. Every equipment sale, installation, and maintenance service call we make is backed 100% by Langdon. Mike Cranmer and Dean Reynolds on the front row, but Cranmer starting from the rear. That moves Rich Holland up into pole position. Row number 2, Greg Parmalee, and coming off the Raiders win, big money, Dustin Sargent. Row number 3, it's Dan McLaren, Soupy in the 88, and Trent Verstraeten in the 088. And rounding out the field, Mike Cranmer in the number 70 on the inside. That's the 7 starter. And correct me here, Roger, if I have the last name wrong. Keith Bost is a no-show here, Keith Bost.
Yeah, Keith is just joined the league this week and came into this session in error, and so we explained the methods on Monday night, the tier system. So he'll be back next Monday night.
So he gets a little learning lesson and gets to enjoy some of the best racing that you see on iRacing, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing him throughout the week as well.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff happening around the corner. We'll get to it in just a bit. Here are the Rebels points we were talking about coming on in. This is with drops. Joseph Grandi, a 49-point lead on Jeff Fitzpatrick. Dustin Sargent, 90 points back. Again, that is with drops. In effect, that drops the 2 worst finishes of the season should the drivers complete in every race on the year. Green flag is out. We're underway for Heat 2. And it's Dino that gets the jump on Rich Holland early. Dustin Sargent tries to scrape the chocolate chips up, but they're 3 wide for 4th position. Dan McLaren and Trent Verstraeten sandwich Greg Parmalee, and he falls back to 6th position. Early on here, John, everyone running above the slick stuff as Dino leads lap 1. Here comes Dustin underneath on Rich, though.
Yeah, right now the preferred line is going to be just right above the slick stuff. You want those right or left side tires right, barely touching that slick stuff, and you'll go really, really quick around this joint if you can manage to do that.
Absolutely, as they make their way off of turn number 4, Dustin still with control of 3rd spot, but right behind him, Trent Verstraeten up on the cushion. He's dancing with the double at the moment. Greg Parmalee taps the wall in turn 2. Verstraeten takes a peek downstairs. However, though, allows Dan McLaren to close in, and he nearly makes contact with the tail tank there, Roger.
Yeah, this is some really tight racing going on up here in this heat for sure.
Dino's definitely enjoying the battle he's seeing out of that virtual rear view mirror. He's kept it consistent, 0.3 of a second over big money as they go down the back chute. A 3-car jam session for 3rd between Verstraeten, McLaren, and Holland. And sideways, both of them. How do they save it? I don't know. Verstraeten now, let's get back to him. Just set the quickest lap, John, 13:45. And him and Dustin trying to attack on Dean, but there's 1 lap left.
Yeah, they're going to run out of time, I believe, here, but those 2 guys, I mean, you throw all 3 guys under a blanket here. Great racing at the front of the field.
Reynolds plays defense through 3 and 4, and that does it. Sargent came in. I think Dean ran out of fuel coming to the checkers, but Reynolds starts from the outside of row number 1 as he wins Heat 2. Now we move on to Heat Race number 3. It's brought to you by Venom Racing, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Oh, actually, we do not have a Heat 3. I'm sorry. We're on to the Ohsweken Speedway warm-up watch. The 3-minute warm-up watch session. No wonder why my graphic could not come up. While we are at it, Roger, let's talk. You just mentioned briefly about what's happening on week 13. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what's going on?
Yeah, we're really excited about the upcoming event, week 13, Triple Crown. Like I said earlier, we're going to do the the high limit race, try to duplicate it as close as we can, and paying out $23.23. We'll also have the dice roll for the two fastest qualifiers, or the two fastest guys in the dash, and they could earn increments of $2. If they roll a 12, they could can't remember exactly what it is, but they could make about another $12 or something. It's all relative. But along with that, we're going to have a dirt series and an asphalt series. The dirt series will basically be the same nights we normally run stuff through the week. It's going to be a chance for everybody to try out the new dirt model. The physical dirt model is supposed to change, and it's going to give everybody a chance to try that out before the next season. The asphalt series, it's going to be, we're going to have the GT3s, the cars. We're going to bring out the NASCAR Tour mods, trial them, and then the 3 NASCAR divisions. So we'll also include the Cup cars and see how those fare. So a lot of fun. $10 for one class, $20 for all 3. All proceeds go to the Steve King Foundation, which we've supported in the past. I think we've raised over $7,000 for them. A great foundation to help out injured drivers and crew members, etc. Steve King was a sprint car driver, lost his life at Knoxville in the 360, and a great foundation set up in honor of that. And so we look forward to the whole week and having some fun racing for a great cause.
Cannot wait for it. For more details, check out our website, c2cro.com. It will pop up when you get to the home screen just in the center, so you click on that for more details. Warm-ups just finalizing here with Joseph Grandy, the quickest driver at a 13:79. Speaking of 79, Dean Reynolds, the second quickest. He's just about 500ths back on 100 grade.
Well, I have to confess, while I'm in here, that I am ghost driving. I'm hoping to run the most of this feature. As you know, at 73-year-old, I need as much practice as I can against the Renegades and the likes of John Hines. So I got to get in as many laps as I can here.
I can understand that for sure. Let's meet the field. Here's your starting lineup, brought to you by the Super Dirt Car Series. On the front row, it's the detective Steven Spees in the 55 and Dean Reynolds, Dino, in the 79. Row number 2, your points leader, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Next to big money, Dustin Sargent in the 377. Row number 3, Gary Offut in the 94 and Trent Verstraeten in the 88. Row 4, John Krupa in the 5 and Soupy, Dan McLaren in the 88. Row number 5, the Mayor, Steve Vixler in the 75, next to Rich Holland in the 116. And in row 6, Steve Maurer in the 888 against Greg Parmalee in the 4. Final 2 rows, row number 7, JR, John Rayner in the 302, and Mike Cranmer in the 70. Rounding out the field this evening, Cole Ferguson in the 081. And that's the 15 drivers that will be taking the green here at Fallujah Speedway Park.
You know, Marty, just jump in for a second here. I know we don't broadcast the Raiders division, and not a great car count, but the guys that are driving, the skill level in the Raiders, most of these guys will be up in the Rebels next season, because there's some incredible driving going on in the Raiders division.
Absolutely, for sure. Let's get some predictions here. John, who do you got?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Gambler car on the front row. And I know Steven is in the chassis that won him, got him a victory at Charlotte. So we're going to think that's all luck here tonight and see if that 55 puts it in victory lane.
Roger?
I'm going to go with our newest sponsor for the Big Block division. This is an announcement right now. Joseph Grandy and Catalytic Recovery, they're going to sponsor the Big Blocks. I'll announce it here right now. So I'm pulling for good old Joseph Grandy, man.
All right, we should be in a fun when we're ready for the Lucy Olsen start. Let's send the Rebels off right here at Fallujah. Oh boy, Speeds nearly pinches Reynolds up into that guardrail down the back chute. The detective slides up, Reynolds counters it back. Contact and Sargent's up on the wall. That's a close call there, and Reynolds gets turned by Verstraeten, and Dustin's upside down in the flip pit. And Dean's also on his lid too. We got 3 drivers upside down. Trent Verstraeten, the other car, on his noggin.
Yeah, you could almost see that coming down that front stretch there. Those guys are kind of bouncing around off each other, off the wall.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. Reynolds put
Dean,
Sargent in the wall, and then Verstraeten just came up like he was trying to slide job or something. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, and then after that, it looked like actually Dean had to check up a little bit for Spees, and when he did that, that's where the real melee started, right there.
Let's run on board with big money. This will give you a good idea. So we had to run off turn 4, and Dean just didn't see that coming. There's the contact. That's net code in that situation. And what a tough break for a lot of drivers that will have to use their quick repair early after lap number 1. Let's give you Trent Verstraeten's on board too. And there's Mike Cranmer as well, the 4th driver that was involved too. But we've got our first flip pit victim of the night. And that is the driver of the number 377 in Dustin Sargent. We call turn 1 and 2 the flip pit because that's where all the crashes are normally bound to happen, right there. And sometimes you can get a car that's flipping on top of the lawn. Now the back straight, if they get on the back straight and flip over that wall, we call it the gator pit because that's where all the alligators are. So let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. We'll be sure to give you a shout out on the air. We did score that first lap as it was under the green flag. Steven Spees, Joseph Grandy, row 1. Row 2, Rich Holland and Gary Offut. And John Krupa rounds out the top 5. Let's take a look from the Young Gun Creations drone as we're back to green. See the detective hold serve. Grandy tries to close in. Different lines entering turn 3. But nice closing from Joseph Grandy. But the caution flag is back out again. And it's for big money off turn 2. And this time his night will likely be done. I think that yellow at the same time too, guys, helps out Dean Reynolds because after they took the green flag, he left pit road. So I believe Dean gets to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that one there was just a couple guys going for the same spot. Poor Dustin Sargent had nowhere to go. Mike Cranmer.
Oh my!
Yeah,
Rayner
Mike
and
comes up the
Cranmer.
Yeah.
They went partying with the Gators.
Yeah, they did. Mike just came up the track, and then I don't know if he probably didn't realize they were too wide. Expected Rayner to probably be out another lane there, and hooked him, and they went both gator fishing.
Right on board here. That is Mike in the aftermath of it all.
Interesting.
And you know, they tell you too, and that back straight sign, if you saw the intro, please don't feed the gators. Well, there's 2 people that like to feed the gators down there. You want to know who they are? Dale Jr. and Steve Myers.
Interesting observation, Marty. Dean Reynolds, you mentioned he didn't lose a lap. There's an iRacing glitch. It was trying to give him P3 back, and Dean was kind enough to mention that and ask for an EOL.
That's a smart man in Dean, that's for sure. So, final double file restart here. We did not score that lap. It will be scored here on the restart. But the leaderboard stays the same with the exception of Rayner, Cranmer, and Dustin. They go to the back for being in the wreck. So second Salty Dogs yellow in the books. We're ready for the mission 22 restart. And again, Steven Spees is the control car. Green lights are back on. And immediately he catches Joseph Grandy sleeping. As Holland and Offa go to work for the 3 spot. Holland slides up in front of the 94 and takes it away. Now everyone starts to work it high, wide, and handsome up next to the chocolate chips. Not a lot of drivers deciding to use that cushion in heat races, John, but everyone's going to use it during this feature tonight, which means you can expect a lot of slide jobs here in Volusia.
Yeah, and the key here, though, with the slide jobs, you got to be real careful because the slick part of the track gets really, really wide later in the race, and that when you come across that, you're scrubbing speed, so by the time you get there, you better make sure you're clear.
Grandy's been working out the slider lane as well. He's been able to pull
big
up
wreck
to the
on the
tail
front
take. Oh,
stretch.
yes, you're right. We got a big one. And that is Krupa on his lid. I see a white car on his lid. I believe
Parmalee.
that's Parmalee. And I hear Cole Ferguson was also involved, too.
Yeah,
Horrible wrecks.
Ferguson gets into Krupa, and then it's on.
We'll show you the replay here. This has been an ugly night. When it comes to car crashes, they have been vicious. Into Krupa, Parmalee with nowhere to go, and they careen out of control. Right on board with John here. Just doesn't see that coming one bit. Let's show you Greg Parmalee here too. Yeah, Fergie just came up, and man, I think Parmalee took the worst impact of it because when he makes the contact, goes on his side and top wing first into the retaining wall.
Well, Roger mentioned that he was ghosting, so Roger, I guess give us a track update. How much has it changed since the beginning?
Yeah, it's slicked off pretty good here, and I've been trying to run the bottom. Can't quite keep up with the boys, so it's not there yet. Interesting observation on that that last caution. Cole took the blame for it. Also, in our Raiders, this is 3 more cautions they had. They went caution free, flag to flag.
So set for the restart. Every restart now, rest of this race will be single file. Again, Spees leads, Grandy second, Holland third. Offer fourth, and McLaren rounds out your top 5. Biggest mover currently is Rich Holland. He started in the 10th position, and in 7 laps has climbed his way up into the 3 spot as we're back to green. Field hold serve, first driver all the way on the baby bottom is McLaren in the Yeti 88. Could he throw the slide job up on M&M's? No, he won't just yet, but they do touch. McLaren loses the top wing. He keeps it straight. Can he pull it off in time to the pits? He does. And that will most likely end the night of Soupy. That was wild there, John.
Yeah, and I saw all kinds of
Oh,
contact.
the leaders take each other out. And there goes Holland to the lead. Oh, wait a second. I think Speeds keeps it. Oh, my goodness me. Steven Speeds may have just gotten the lottery ticket of a lifetime.
Well, yeah, that was a little ambitious there on Grandy's part, and yeah, I think Speeds would probably be able to get that back. I would think it all depends on who iRacing's going to say brought that flag out.
Let's take a look. Your Grandy just threw a little bit too much up top, gets the 55. Speeds was sideways though, but I believe he saved it, kept it straight before the caution flew.
Yeah, looks like they've got him back up here, but now the question's going to be, did that hurt that car?
We've got Showtime 787 saying put it out. See, right on board with.
I'm looking at Speed's car. It's bent. If you look at the rear axle of it is bent up a little bit. The top wing is bent.
Yep, you can see it up on that left wing. The way it's bent, you said the rear axle too.
Yeah, yep, on the right side. So he's gonna have a handful, and same thing with that right front tire too, is kind of towed out a little bit. So Yikes.
That is a
But
tough break for your
didn't we
top
see
two.
somebody last week though at Eldora get their car all towed out and hang on for like a top 3 or whatever it was? I forget who it was, but they had a green white checker to deal with though.
I can't remember.
It was somebody.
But look at who this really, and I mean really helps out here. Rich Holland in the 116, who could come out as the leader. Now I'm doing my research here. Rich Holland has never won in the Coast to Coast Racing League.
Yeah, and another guy you want to mention too, Marty, is Dino. He went all the way to the back, barely got out
And
of
he's
the
in
pit.
fifth.
Yep.
I was going to mention that he's in a transfer spot already.
And so here we go. We're back to green. You also got Gary Offut looking for his first ever win. As there goes Holland, top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. You've got a new leader.
Yeah, Steven's car is hurt bad.
And it's just holding up Offut, Bixler, Reynolds, and maybe even Ferguson too. And so Offut gets the advantage. He moves to second. Look out. There goes Ferguson.
Oh, and Dean's now in the wall.
Oh,
with
my.
Bixler.
Heavy wreck with Bixler. Oh, my goodness.
Boy, Steven Spees, if I'm him right now, I am coming in and get me a brand new car.
Get him a quick repair big time. Because at the rate this race is going, he could still have a chance to win it.
Yeah, it looks like Dino's going to get his spot back. He's pulling back up there.
Yeah, but there's some heavy damage on the 79, I believe.
Oh, he's
Here's
coming to the pits.
Yeah, he's going to have to repair it, and he's already used his quick repair. Bixler just comes down into Ferguson in a wild turn like a top.
And Spees is going to take his repair.
Yeah, you can see the front end damage on Dino. Let's
Oh, yeah.
I don't like
and he's already used his fast repair, too.
I don't like to manually rewind things, but how in the world did this happen? I think Bixler he was already sideways in just a shallow entry and came up into Dean, and the wild ride is on for the mayor.
Yeah. Dean is just a victim there, and tough break for him.
And that's a
After
tough
coming back
break
through the field.
for a bunch of drivers there, because, Roger, there are a bunch of retreads up there in the front contending for that.
Yeah, there are. I'm having trouble catching some of these guys. I was trying to chase.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was trying to chase Dean down, but I guess that's been taken care of now.
Like, you take a look at the top three. The top three drivers have never won in the Coast to Coast Racing League ever since we started using Sim Racer Hub. 3 wins for Steve Maurer, but those have all come in the retreads. And then you've got Joseph Grandy, who was recovered from the spin he had with Spees, up in the 5th position. This is something.
Yeah, and no matter how many drivers are in it, like Salty Dogs, if you get a podium, you get the gold bone.
So we'll see what happens. Could there be a log run potentially? Have the drivers learned their lesson? Only 10 drivers on the lead lap, and we're taking half of them to the Rebels. There's Grandy up on the cushion, and Maurer nearly slams the door in his face. Grandy wasn't happy about that defense, as he wants the 4th spot back on Steve Maurer there, John. And there goes Grandy with the slider, and Maurer counters back.
Yeah, nice counter by Maurer, and he's going to have it through 3 and 4, but here comes the crossover from Grandy coming out of 4.
This is the battle everyone's watching closely, and they touch. Around
Yeah,
goes Grandy and Maurer. Goodness me. This really is the series where you can expect anything and everything. Holy smoly. And that is your points leader, ladies and gentlemen. And you know who's going to like that the most, John? Jeff Fitzpatrick, who was not here tonight.
Man.
Because that will most likely keep the points lead without the drops the same as you watch it in real time. Man, oh man.
Maurer got lost the back end coming out of that corner and had to chase it down the track. And unfortunately, when he's chasing it down the track, Grandy's coming up the track, and they just met, and it was on from there.
See on board, yep, Grandy just came up.
As he should have. I mean, Grandy was in I mean, that's a natural line out of there. And I'm going to tell you, turn 4 coming out of there is so tough. I mean, Steve Maurer lost, but lost the back end a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, I'm watching everybody. Half the cars are losing the back end coming out of 4. And the thing is, Marty, as you come out, your instinct tells you want to step on the gas to shoot down that straightaway as fast as you can. The problem is if you don't get there's like a little bump there. If you don't get past that before you start really trying to accelerate, you do lose that back end, and then next thing you know, you can't keep the car straight down that front stretch there. That's probably the hardest part on the track once it gets slicks up.
So we are
How many
past.
fast repairs have these guys got?
I don't know, John. John, you're actually beating up and down on the commentary. Roger, if you can back out of the ghost mode, I would love to know who has 0 X at the moment. I want to say the only drivers are Rich. I think just Holland here at the moment.
I don't see anybody. Nobody has 0.
Nobody had 0 X. This is a checkup from behind with Rayner and Ferguson. A late launch by Holland and Steven Spies. Did he just use that to his advantage? Can you go on the outside? Can you pass cars up top before the green, Roger?
According to iRacing, you can. In our league, though, we said no passing before the start-finish line. So that will be looked at by the review committee.
That is interesting there, ladies and gentlemen. But we focus back up to the front. It's Rich Holland with a 1-second lead on Gary Offutt. But they are immediately on lap traffic, and Steve Maurer in the 888. And Maurer throws a block at Rich Holland. Not sure what this is all about here. But Maurer now gets out of the way of the leaders. We watch the battle for second. Gary Offutt, Mike River, Cole Ferguson could play soup, and it's, oh, we got a caution. Greg Parmalee in the 4. I was going to say here, guys, that Cole Ferguson could make soup in his first ever Coast to Coast Racing League start with the Rebels. Here's a look at what happened to Parmalee. Just lost it. Flips the barrel. At 360 and on she goes. Was racing with Rayner and Spies for 6th. And that gives him left front suspension damage.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact on that last restart too with the leaders. That might be where that suspension damage came from.
That's what I was referring to with the checkup with Ferguson and company.
Yeah, where Spies, and Spies jumped to the outside of him there to avoid, and yeah, I think he kind of used that to his advantage a little bit. So yeah, we'll definitely be looking at that.
All right, so we're set for the restart again. Your top 4 drivers. We'll give a big thing to top 4 now that Ferguson's a part of this. Top 4 drivers have never won in the Coast to Coast Racing League. Ferguson, this is his first ever day with the series. He has not had any starts entering this league until today, per Sim Racer Hub, from what I'm looking at right now.
Definitely this is his first day of racing.
First day of school,
Yeah,
could be racing with the big leagues. Could be racing with the senior class as a freshman.
Well, you know, Marty, a lot of times we get some, like I said before, the Raiders division has got some skilled drivers, and there's a few there that have the ability. They've got the good skill set coming in, and they have that ability to run the suit.
So Holland holds serve off but sideways. Here comes Joseph Grandy for the Sport 4 spot. He's not out of this yet. Off 4, he's got the 4th spot over Ferguson under caution for big money. And this will be the end of his night. He had to tow that thing into the pits.
Yeah, but I've been seeing guys get multiple resets on their cars. So he may not be done yet.
Oh.
I know one of the guys went to the pits and the repairs were completed before the restart. That's what happened there.
What a ride that Dustin took. Right on board. If you get motion sickness, look away now.
Parmalee's left rear is on a 45. And Dean's on the lead lap still, so we still got 11 to go, so don't rule him out.
Yeah, absolutely. Still got a lot of drivers in contention to win, especially Joseph Grandy. He's not out of this yet. It's after that spin he had earlier and getting up in the wall. So
I see Dean and Dustin are both in the pits. I'm wondering if they're just trying to get more repairs done to their car before the restart.
So I can confirm, John, I just looked. Fast repair is at 1.
Huh. Wow. Then they're getting these things repaired, and that's kind of new.
These guys are making, the pit crews going at it in record time because they know we're in some critical moments in the season.
Here comes Dean back on the track. This is, your 2-minute repair time.
2-minute repair time, yes.
And they're putting new wings on these things or whatever.
So 10 laps to go. By the way, that pass Grandy made on Ferguson did not count. As of the last completed green flag lap, it was Ferguson scored in the 4th spot. And so here we go. We're back to the green. As Holland holds serve, Ferguson and Grandy both on the basement of the racetrack. Ferguson looking for second on Gary Alpha. 2 for 1 on the restart. Nearly hits the inside wall. Fergie moves up to second. And here comes Grandy for third, John. He wants second.
He does, and he's making that bottom work.
Oh, baby, this is getting good. And off turn number 4, Holland's got it with 8 laps to go, but he may have company soon for the race lead. Now, should mention as well, Rich Holland, his best ever finish came a couple weeks ago in Rebels. It was a 3rd place finish. So top 2 would be fine. For the way he's been leading out in front, he wants that win badly. But here comes 100 grand to the inside for the top spot. There are 6 circuits remaining when they come to the stripe. Holland leads that one. It's low side versus cushion. Holland continues to dance with the doubles. That cushion gets thick. Bixler and Raider have crashed. No caution flag is out. Holland continues to lead with 5 left.
There it is.
And there it is. So Holland can take a breath. But man, oh man, your top 2 were racing neck and tooth. Here's a look at what happened to the mayor. I think this may have happened in front of him with Rayner. And it did. Rayner got sideways. And man, holy smokes. Both of them in the flip pit. And how in the world did Steve Maurer dodge that bullet? I don't know.
That would be a code brown for Maurer.
Let's ride on board with Steven.
That's 3 salty dogs there. I'm not sure I would want to be in the room, but actually, there's usually laughter, and it's a good time in that room.
Look at that miss from Steve Maurer. Holy cow. So now we take a look at your top 2. Go ahead.
I was going to say, not to take it away from any other divisions, but I can attest to Roger. I can't imagine what's going on in that salty dog room because he's given me a day pass to come run with them a couple times, and I'm telling you, both times that I've done it, I've had an absolute blast. So laid back, so much fun. good group of guys. I kind of miss doing the enduro, so Roger, we got to do something about that. You guys had that thing down.
There'll be a 75 lap enduro, a street stock enduro, week 13 as part of the dirt,
Nice.
Uh-oh.
dirt division.
I will most likely be there then. If I'm free,
There's,
I will most likely be there.
there's a strong rumor that Gretchen Chapman is going to make another appearance.
I have a feeling that Dittmer wants payback on me after what happened the last time I won an enduro.
Dittmer always deserves payback in a
Anyway, we've got 4 laps of racing to go. Can Holland hang on for his first career win in the Coast to Coast Racing League? But Joseph Grandy all over his tail. Grandy inside for the top spot. 3 laps to go to the line. Holland continues to lead. It's 2 car lengths. These will be the longest 2.5 laps of Rich Holland's life. He goes wide in turns 1 and 2. Grandy takes the lead away, but can Holland fight it back up on the cushion out for 4? He can! He holds on with 2 left. Nobody giving up, but Grandy clears Holland for right now. Can Holland fight it back off in turn 4? He's got one last chance. Final laps underway. Will Grandy extend the points lead, or can Holland get his first ever win? Grandy clears out of a turn 3. Holland tries to run the cushion in 3 and 4, and at the stripe, Joseph Grandy with the stunner, with the most amazing comeback you've ever seen.
huge shout out to Richard Holland too. It's almost a shame he didn't win that one.
Wow. Holland finishes second, and Cole Ferguson in day 1 gets to race with the Renegades. Spees 4th, Cranmer 5th. Ferguson went from 15th to 3rd. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the product of Volusia Speedway Park, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Queuing your top 3 here in just a bit. Just confirming everything here while at it. Joseph Grandy moves up. Rich Holland moves up. Cole Ferguson moves up. And Steven Spees moves up. Unfortunately, Mike Kramer cannot move up due to excessive IL. But let's pull up your official results while we are at it. We talked about your top 5. Steve Maurer 6th, John Rayner 7th, Gary Offut 8th, Greg Parmalee 9th, Dean Reynolds 10th, Dustin Sargent 11th, Steve Bixler 12th, Dan McLaren 13th, John Krupa 14th, Trent Verstraeten 15th. So that's how your official results lie for us here. And we're going to begin our post-race by talking with our 3rd place finisher. I would consider him the Michael Block of this race tonight. This is pretty cool. Cole Ferguson, our 3rd place finisher. Man, oh man, day 1, and you get to race with the Renegades. How cool is that?
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. I did really expect to get all the way through to the Renegades division tonight. I just wanted to jump in and have a feel out for the league and feel out some of the racing and get used to it. But yeah, luckily for me and the guys have done a ton of laps at Volusia because of the Australian leagues have been running recently. So car was set up pretty good, and yeah, it's good to make it to the big show for the night.
How was your race car from your perspective on the low line? You and Grandy look like you two were running it better than anybody else.
Yeah, man, we were actually just having a joke about it after the race. So I was predominantly running the top and slider line, and then on a restart, Joseph actually got under me on the bottom, and I looked to my left, and he was down there. And then a yellow came out and had me in front of him, so I just decided to run the bottom for the rest of the race. He got past me anyway, but I just decided to follow him around, and turned out to be the quickest way around the racetrack for the last 10 laps. So got me up from sixth into third, and that's where I stayed. And yeah, just happy to finish there.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
I'd love to give a shout out to all the boys at Bullet Esports and the Rutledge Brothers Racing Association, our sponsors Harman Designs and Styled Imagery and Ace Auditing, and a big shout out to my partner Darcy, who supports me getting on here at whatever time of the day. Started on here at 6:30 this morning, and yeah, we keep rolling through.
All
It's
right,
gonna
man.
make a Monday morning better.
Absolutely. All right, we'll let you go. Congratulations. Great job.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. That's Cole Ferguson, our third place finisher. Let's go to our second place finisher tonight, Rich Holland. Man, I feel gutted for you. Oh, hang on. We lost Rich. Give me one moment. Let's bring him up here. There's Rich Holland, our second place finisher. Rich, we all feel gutted for you, man. Just
You got me?
Yep, we got you, man. What more did you need in those final laps for Joseph?
What? No cautions. I got lucky on the first lap with the big wreck and went all the way to third, and then the leaders kind of got into it and put me in first, and let's feel like we had a caution every lap, and then with like 4 to go, I saw Grandy behind me, and I thought, oh crap, there goes my win. He was faster down low in 1 and 2, and I probably should have run down there and tried to block him, but I had a groove on the high side that got me where I was, so I figured I'd stick it out.
Absolutely. Were you surprised that Joseph could make the comeback despite being involved in 2 accidents?
Yeah, I thought, where the hell did he come from? He was way back there.
Yeah, but you were running the cushion really well. Did you consider getting away from it and working the low line, trying to play defense on Grandy, or no?
I did on that last caution, and I thought, well, I thought I was a little faster on the cushion in 3 and 4, but he was faster in 1 and 2. And with 4 to go, I thought if I got a good start, maybe I could hold him off 4 laps, but I just kind of ran out of talent at the end.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on this one?
Coast to Coast for holding this. I mean, me to finish on the podium is awesome. I race this race once a week. I race an hour a week on iRacing, so to finish on the podium is great.
Absolutely. All right. We will let you go, man. Congratulations on the second place finish. Your best finish in the league.
I appreciate it.
That's Rich Holland. And now we move to Extreme E-Speed TV Victory Lane. Joseph Grandy, where in the world did that comeback come from?
At first, I was hoping I would get out of the race alive, and then a yellow came out, and I noticed there was a little more there at 1 and 2 than I thought there was, and I'm a bottom guy. So put my wing back a little bit and tried nailing the bottom. It worked. I passed a few guys. A couple of cautions come out. I'm surprised no one noticed I was hitting the bottom. No one tried to get there, so just kept running it.
After the second wreck, we had you counted out in this race. We had you ready to say that you were going to drop this race from your total points at the end of the season. But I guess you don't have to now. You extend the points lead on Fitzpatrick, and likely, I believe, you pretty much have this championship wrapped up with 1 race to go, I would say. But obviously, it's not over until it's over.
Yeah, luckily that first wreck somehow barely caused any damage, so I didn't bother with the quick repair. The second wreck caused major damage. Got the quick repair and knew I had to stay out of trouble, and that was about it.
Absolutely, man. Were you surprised as well that Holland was still able to fight back on you on the cushion?
Yes, because there was a few 3 and 4 was hard to hit perfect, and if you don't, you lose a lot of speed. And the times I did hit it well, I was catching up pretty good. But, I had to be perfect, and luckily I was the last few laps and got the win.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on this one?
I'd like to thank Catalytic Recovery, West End Towing and Repair, all the guys over at Training Wheels Racing. Appreciate you guys for doing the broadcast coast to coast, all their sponsors, and all the guys behind the scenes.
All right, man, we'll let you go. Congratulations. Go enjoy this one.
Thanks, man.
Joseph Grandy, your winner. He's an Extreme E-Speed TV victory lane. Wow, what a comeback. I thought Steven Gollner had the craziest comeback at I-55 a couple seasons ago in the Renegades, but this may have outdone it here with Grandy after being involved in 2 accidents. So we're going to step aside here as the lights are on here at Fallujah. Sun starts to set. Renegades on track next on the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
Race fans, a shower of big block power. Let's ride! Race fans, a shower of big block power. Let's ride!
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every 8 p.m. on G-Force TV.
She has her first point. Yeah, Lucy Olson, talented sophomore.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We're moments away from the Renegades taking shape, brought to you by Dylan Westbrook Racing. Marty Scala with you. Glad we could have John Hine as well as Roger Craig with us in the booth. But just moments away from beginning the best iRacers here in Volusia. Want to update you on the Rebels points, too, without the drops. After 11 races, Joseph Grandy with a, if I have the math correctly, a 78-point advantage on Jeff Fitzpatrick. Again, that is without the drops, and that's all subject to change entering next week in Knoxville for the championship race. But if it were closer than that, it would come down to those two for the championship. But we're set to go for our first heats of the night. 27 drivers make up the car count here for the Renegades this evening. And so once again, we continue that streak of over 20 drivers in a race. Let's get set to go for our first heat of the night. Heat race number 1 is brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Here's your starting lineup for Heat Race 1. Again, all done via pill draw. Brandon Templeton and Superman Kurt Schatzer make up row number 1, the Hammerdown teammates. Row number 2, Chris Schaefer in the 23, and 100 grand Joseph Grandy in the 518. Row number 3 is Jeff Flero in the 200, and the detective Steven Spees in the 55. Rounding out the field this evening is the Pink Panther, Jesse Atkinson in the 127. Field rolling off here for their first of 2 pace laps. Again tonight, all drivers following the Steve King Foundation pace truck. Important to help the dirt track racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, race officials, track ops personnel, or the immediate families of those individuals who suffer serious illness, injury, or death. Let us know who you're rooting for in chat this evening. We'll be sure to give you a shout out on the air. Hello to the Graham Racing boys watching tonight. Glad you could join us. Showtime 787 was out there rooting for Rich Holland. I love that nickname too. I'm going to have to write that down. Let's see here. Topside Terror, Rich Holland. I like that actually. That's not bad. So, we'll see how that sticks next week. So, anyway, Heat 1, winner on pole for the 35-lap feature. We're green for the Renegades. Brandon Templeton gets away with a good jump on a 3 wide. Granny's upside down, and he's flipping big time out of the ballpark. Nice save from Jeff Flero, but your Rebels points leader and winner a couple moments ago will have to race his way into the feature in just a little bit. But it's Templeton with the lead by 7/10 of a second on Kurt Schatzer. Steven Spees, Chris Schaefer, that's the race for P3 on board with the 23. Give Spees the bumper for just a moment in turn 2. As he tries to look underneath, but nothing works out. Just ran the quickest lap of the race a couple moments ago to 13:35. Just about hooked Spees there that last lap. Now Spees is all over Schatzer for the runner-up spot as we're halfway home. Enters high, exits low, pulls up to that left rear tire, cuts it back. This opens up the lead for Templeton to 1.1 seconds. Three left. Spees bounces off the wall. Again, top 4 transfer on in. Schaefer with a 9/10 of a second lead on Jesse Atkinson for the spot. Schaefer underneath. He wants a starting spot better of 4 positions. Up into Spees. He puts him in. Oh my! How did Space not hit the wall? I don't know, but that put him out of a transfer spot. Jesse Atkinson says thank you very much, and you know the detective's not going to like that one bit. Brandon Templeton wins the heat. He starts from pole position. Schatzer, Schaefer, Atkinson the top 4, but oh boy, Chris Schaefer may have just set the tone for Volusia. And now we move to heat race number 2, presented by Langdon Mechanical. The captain, Gary Taylor, on the front row next to the Brewerton Beast in Jeff Barker. Row number 2, the Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and the Desert Demon, Terry Landis. Row number 3, last week's winner and a high school graduate, the salesman, Blake Chapman, next to Rich Holland. And rounding out the field, our broadcast booth partner, the Professor, John Hine, in the 71. Yeah, I don't know if you follow Chapman on Blake on Instagram, but he posted his graduation photos earlier today. The second photo, he was up on a mic. He was either a valedictorian or a salutatorian, but I have a feeling he gave the shout out of Galen's homegrown popcorn. And Blake Chapman is contending for a championship entering tonight. Here are the point standings coming in your top 3. This is with the drops. Patrick Spangler with a 22-point lead on Blake Chapman, but do not count Chad Cote out of it yet, who is 40 behind. Field will be in the hands of Gary Taylor and Jeff Barker when we take the green. Winner starts on the outside of row 1. Top 4 transfer, bottom 3 to the last chance showdown. Ready for the green. Horrible start from Gary Taylor. That gives Jeff Barker the slight advantage, but Taylor sends it into turn 1. Up the track they both go, and Taylor takes the lead early. Landis thinks about second, decides to wait on it. Rich Holland decides to go up on the top shelf once again. Hides back in the 4th spot. But a rough and tough battle for 5th on back. Chapman up there, then followed by Hine and Cranmer. Barker underneath on Landis, or rather Landis up top. And here comes Blake for the top for the final transfer spot. Into 4th he goes. And the salesman may want more. Oh, he got some contact from John Hine, I believe. You could feel the nudge inside the car. The camera also move around. But Blake has 4th inside. Look out, Chapman's around and collects Cranmer. And Holland's up in the flip pit. And Preston's got trouble. He's got damage, or either that or he just put Terry up in the wall. And Terry's trying to limp around this track in the second half with a wounded race car in the final transfer spot. But meanwhile, up front for the lead, Taylor hangs on to the lead over Jeff Barker. There's 3 laps remaining, and John Hine wants that heat win after starting from 7th on the grid. So you're riding on board with the Professor. 2 to go. Gary's looking for a front row spot. Taylor's got that damage right front, but he still wants to limp it home to victory. Barker loose off turn 2. It's coming down to Taylor. Hine for the win. Off of 4. Hine tries it. Taylor shuts the door, and Gary Taylor takes the heat win. And now we wait for Terry Landis with a beaten up right front. Look at that wheel wobble around. And he's still able to get a transfer spot. If he could have completed one act, he didn't have to finish the whole race. He just needed to do one more lap than those guys who were in the pits, and he would have made it in the show. Alrighty, Heat 3 brought to you by Venom Racing, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Starting lineup on the front row. Oh boy. The high side banger on the pole and Patrick Spangler next to Cole Ferguson in the 81. Row number 2, Barry Goldner in the 36 and Gentleman Jack Hitt in the 217. Row number 3 features the boss, Ross Corinna, in the 10, and Kyle Sargent in the 91. One to go until we take the green flag. Don't forget, next week, we are at the Knoxville Raceway to end the season. It was our championship home last season, and probably one of our best broadcasts ever on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. And we look forward to bringing you the season finale next week. Get you the rest of the week's schedule in just a bit. But we've got a heat race to focus on. Barry Goldner and Cole Ferguson bring us to the green flag. Patrick Spangler has to take a heat EOL, so he'll try to go from the rear to first. Goldner gets the jump. Corinna slides up as contact between Sargent and Head. Corinna took a peek for the lead. Doesn't work. Ferguson stays put in third. Spangler already up to fourth. One lap in the books. Jack Hitt has crashed the 217. He's put it into the pits. Ferguson underneath, looking for the lead. Corinna looked up top as well. Decides to think second about it. And Corinna sends it. Slide job, Corinna. Barry counters back. Barry wants to throw the slider up once again. Corinna up on the high side. Takes the lead from Barry, who's not able to throw the slider. Patrick Spangler, though, wants to be a part of this battle for the lead, but he can't get past Ferguson for third. And that last lap for Ross Corinna was the best of the heat. 13:44 for the boss. 3 to go. He's running the bottom, the 3 drivers behind him. The first set of 3 drivers behind him working up top. Here comes Spangler below Ferguson for third. 2 left. He wants to move up badly. Ooh, at the line, Ferguson clipped the wall. But I don't even think he let off the gas. Spangler, though, gets past for third here. Checkered flags are out. And it's Ross Corinna starting in the inside of row 2. Goldner, Spangler, Ferguson move on to the feature. Sargent and Hitt to the B main. And now it's time for heat number 4, presented by Maurer Farm Management. Here's the starting lineup. The Macho Man, Tyler Sargent, and the Goose, Chad Cote. That is row number 1. Row number 2, Bob DeGood in the 7, and the Bass Man, Roger Craig, in the 747. Row 3 is Jack Clevenger in the 78, next to Jeff Kemper in the 181. And is that a new scheme for Chad Cote? Has he said farewell to the blue and yellow colors? And that is correct. He has put pink on the High Line Racing ride. And that looks pretty nice. We've had a lot of pink cars lately, but hey, pink just makes you look cool. Not just Cote, but you got Wilson, Jesse Atkinson as well. I'm trying to think who else runs pink. If I go back to the Rebels race, it'll tell me Rayner runs pink. All right, anyway, winner starts outside of row number 2 for the feature. Maurer Farm Management as well, the official sponsor of the Retreads 55 Plus division. Set for the green for the final heat race before the last chance showdown. Wilson and Cote wing to wing entering turn number 1. Can Wilson get the nod off turn 2? He can't. He slides on corner exit, allowing Cote to get the slight advantage. Roger Craig in the 3rd spot. He may go for second on Wilson, but no, Wilson plays defense and shuts the door. Clevenger in 4th, but gives up the top for Jeff Kemper. Clevenger sees something in Roger Craig. The 78 wants the 3rd spot. But can he get it? Way too close to call at the start finish line. Let us know as well who you're rooting for in the chat. We'll give you a shout out live and on the air. Clevenger now tries to slide out, but the Bass man's there. He pulled up to the door. Kemper gave him a nice arrow push as well down the front chute. Oh, Craig sideways with Kemper. To good dodges the bullet. Both of them nearly go to party with the Gators, but it's off to the B main for them. We've got your top 4. So it's Cote with the advantage by 0.3 of a second. Wilson tests out the slider line, but doesn't work out with 3 to go in the stage. Clevenger also tests out the sliding line. Decided to dust the top off just a bit. Last time by, Wilson 800ths better than Cote. Just ran his best lap of the heat. So he may have something for the Goose. We'll have to see. Final lap is underway. Those 2 laps were even, 13:67. Doesn't seem likely for the Macho Man. And off turn 4, brand new paint scheme. So far, so good for the Goose. Chad Cote wins heat 4. And so we move on to the Gambler Motorsports B main, the last chance showdown. It's a race of how bad do you want it? Steven Spees and Preston Kramer, the detective and the Ayla Outlaw, make up your front row. Row number 2, Kyle Sargent and the Bass man, Roger Craig. Row 3, Jeff Flero and Rich Holland. Row number 4, Gentleman Jack Hitt and Jeff Kemper. And rounding out the field of 10, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy and the salesman, Blake Chapman. A lot of good drivers coming from the back to see if they can finish near the front. And again, we are taking the top 8 in this. So the official car count was 26 this evening, so we'll see your bottom 2 go home. But if you know a guy like Joseph Grandy, he was involved in 2 accidents in the Rebels and still won the thing from the back to the front. Could he do it from the back to the front? I think he could, because you know why? Because there's no quit in him, baby. That is actually as well. That's starting to become a notable catchphrase. And I like that a bunch of the fans at home, whether they watch the league or watch some of my other gigs, have actually been using. B main, 10 laps, top 8, move to the feature, bottom 2. We'll have to drink an ice cold beer in the pits. We'll focus on the 8th place driver after lap 1. You've got Spees and Cranmer side by side for the top spot. Cranmer had it down the back. Spees tries to fight it back. Cranmer leads lap 1. Sargent is second. Let's watch the race for 8. Blake Chapman with the final transfer spot over Jack Hitt. And he wants Flero for 7th. Hitt stuck in 9th, but Grandy in 10th. May have to hope for a wreck to happen amongst the field if he wants to make it in. Jasasa Sparks Holland's around! And Rich Holland will not make the show. And so, gentlemen, Jack Hitt is in a transfer position. You think the rest of the drivers in front just gonna play it safe, not try and make any risks to make any passes? Sargent, by the way, took the lead a couple moments ago from Preston Cranmer. You see Chapman and Flero, they race for 6th. And Hitt's got a run on the 200. Runs the cushion, Grandy slides up and lost some ground. Hitt underneath the 200. And this is the track where Jeff Flero won his first ever Renegades race at in the Coast to Coast Racing League. 4 to go in the B main. Joseph Grandy running out of time and running out of moonlight to make it. 3 to go, and Grandy's gonna have to hope for some luck. Oh, Hitt had a bad corner there. Grandy has a chance, closes, he's bent ahead in turn 4. And they make contact. Oh, Grandy's up on the wall. That was all guts but no glory out of 100 grand, and that may have just done it for his chances of making the feature. White flag is out, 1 to go. It's a half straightaway lead for the 91 of Kyle Sargent. As the racing's on behind him, Sargent will start from 17th tonight. As the checkers fly, Joseph Grandy and Rich Holland will go home. And so, folks, it's time for the Osh Weekend Speedway Warm-Up Watch. Your features coming up next on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Checkers are out on warm-ups, and ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Extreme E-Speed TV, Oshweekend Speedway, the Coast to Coast Racing League, and all the fine drivers and sponsors, we thank you so much for choosing to spend your Monday night with us. It's now time to meet the field of 24, ready to take the green for 30 laps at the Volusia Speedway Park. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the Super Dirt Car Series starting lineup. On the front row, it's Brandon Templeton in the 31 and the captain Gary Taylor in the 34. Row number 2, it's the boss Ross Carina in the 10 and the goose Chad Cote in the 11. Row 3 is Superman Kurt Schatzer in the 218 and the professor John Hine in the 71. Row 4, Barry Goldner in the 36 and the Macho Man Tyler Wilson in the 42. Row 5 is Chris Schaefer in the 23 and the Brewington Beast Jeff Parker in the 513. Row 6, the high side banger Patrick Spangler in the 39 and Jack Clevenger in the 78. Row number 7, Jesse Atkinson in the 127 and the Desert Demon Terry Lannis in the 167. Atkinson, the Pink Panther. Row 8, Cole Ferguson, day 1 in the 81 and Bob D. Good in the 7. Row 9 is Kyle Sargent in the 91 and the detective Steven Speeds the 55. Row 10, the Ayla Outlaw Preston Cranmer in the 07 and the Bass Man Roger Craig in the 747. Row 11, Jeff Kemper in the 181 and the salesman Blake Chapman in the 20. Rounding out your field this evening, Jeff Claro in the 200 and Gentleman Jack Hitt in the 217. We are moments away from feature time with the A Division Renegades here in Barberville, Florida. First of the 2 drop weeks on the season, where you can drop your worst finish with a better run here tonight, or your points remain the same. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now, from coast to coast? It's one of the best tracks in the Coast to Coast Racing League, and it's showtime in Volusia. Start tonight brought to you by Lucy Olson. Brandon Templeton with the early lead. Ross Carina underneath on Gary Taylor. Schatzer tries to make it 3 wide for the second position. Lap 1 in the books led by Templeton. The captain with a run underneath for the race lead. Is there 2 by 2 by 3? All behind the leaders. Taylor underneath. Slide job possibly on Templeton. No, he does not. Gives the 31 the edge. Up top, but Gary Taylor takes the lead. Oh, Templeton's on the wall. Atkinson crashes it. Same with Jack Hitt, Preston Cranmer, and Patrick Spangler. It's also involved as we're under caution. Someone has lost the front wheel. You picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel. I believe that was from Preston Cranmer. Let's take a look. There's the Ayla Outlaw on the bottom. That was his wheel. Oh! That came out of nowhere. Goodness. Watch Patrick Spangler. That should be a better option. Contact with Atkinson and up the track, and boom, 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 boom. That was heavy. As heavy as it gets there. Let's ride on board with the Ayla Outlaw and Preston Cranmer. He's got his partner behind. Ooh, nowhere to go. And that was the left front that came off of Preston. I don't even think that's even possible to drive back, or is it? Nope, he wanted to get into the pits and get a quick repair out of it. Nope, just wanted to get it off track and tow it. That's all that was. Lights are off. Time for our first of 2 double file restarts on the evening. So let's reset the field as we come back to green. We'll watch from the Young Gun Creations blimp on this restart. Gary Taylor, Brandon Templeton, row 1. Ross Carina, Barry Goldner, row 2. Kurt Schatzer, Chad Cote, row 3. Row number 4, Chris Schaefer, John Hine, top 10, Tyler Wilson, Jeff Barker. We're back to green. Completely different crews. Oh, look out, Cote's around, and the path of Kyle Sargent. I think he lost it all by himself. And Kyle was already committed up top. Here's a look at the replay. Oh, we just clipped Barry Goldner and lost himself, and Kyle was already locked and loaded and committed. That's a tough break for the 91. Right on board, outside row 7 and 14th. Now I am assuming, and there it is, Cote will use his quick repair here. While we're at it, let's give you a preview of what is coming up the rest of the week here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, as we'll get them lined up for our final double file restart of the night. Rest of the week looks like this. Tomorrow night on Topside Tuesday, we've got Pro Late Models at Port Royal, followed by the Truck Trail at Charlotte. Wednesday night, the Hometown Heroes at Knoxville, followed by the Cars Tour at South Boston. Thursday Night Thunder brings the small blocks and the big blocks to Cedar Lake and the Xfinity Trail at Charlotte. Back with you Monday next week for Championship Night at Knoxville. Mission 22 restart. Back to green. A lot of drivers ripping the top at the moment as Taylor holds on to the lead. Carena tries to chastain it, but I think bouncing off the wall helped him. Look how much he closed it on Brandon Templeton. Slide job, my goodness, that's so tight. But he loses it because we're under caution. Cole Ferguson has lost the top wing, and I'm hearing John Hine was also involved too. That was a very, very tight slide job. That was something like, I'm trying to think, what was it? Hudson O'Neal, Bobby Pierce. Schaefer already got turned. And my, oh my, Chris Ferguson. Hines up on the flip pit as well. I don't even think he flipped in the incident. Now let's see if we can see from Schaefer's, from Hines on board. This will show you what happened. Schaefer into Wilson, and there is Hine with nowhere to go. He clips him. He never even flipped and got into that flip pit. So single file restarts for the rest of this one. 20% of the race distance pretty much in the books. One to green. Reset the field here for you. Gary Taylor, the race leader. Brandon Templeton, second. Ross Carina, third. Barry Goldner, fourth. Kurt Schatzer, fifth. Tyler Wilson, sixth. Jeff Barker, seventh. Jack Clevenger, eighth. Terry Landis, ninth. And Steven Spies rounds out the top 10. Your biggest movers of the race, Blake Chapman and Jeff Flarrow, each up 11 spots. They started from 22nd and 23rd respectively, and they are in the middle part of the field. 6 go up on the board this time. So Taylor holds third for right now. Second and third rip the cushion once again. As Mary tries to close in. Corinna again bounces off that wall. Takes a peek underneath on Brandon Templeton. Does he throw the slider here? This time he can't because of Gary Taylor up next to him. Can't control second just yet, but both close in on the Can-Am Racing Team 34. Gary washes up the track. Here comes Templeton, but a big wreck breaks out. Tyler Wilson spun it into the pits. We stay under the green. Templeton takes the lead. Taylor tries to fight it back into turn 3. Slide job for the captain. Won't work. Templeton takes the race lead away. And Corinna now looks underneath for second. Almost took the lead from Templeton, but the two black and red cars made contact. And here comes Schatzer into this equation as well, as we've got a 6-car breakaway from the rest of the field because of what happened with Tyler Wilson. Wilson will not win this race as he's back on the track but a lap down. As you watch Schatzer up on the cushion for the third spot, they slightly bang wheels. Ross Corinna though last lap. Quickest lap of anyone, 14:70. There he goes, slide job from the boss. Templeton counters it back, but Corinna takes the lead away. And Templeton, wicked set in the flip it. Oh, neck cone, sent Schatzer and Clevenger around. I don't know what Brandon did there entering the corner, but that was way too fast of a send. That was just way too slick where he was sending it. That was a hell of a race between the top two for the lead. I had way too much throttle. What a ride, and then there's the neck code right out of nowhere. Let's ride on board with Schatzer. This should give us a good idea. Easily net code without even a question. Now let's ride on board with Brandon. Look at all these other drivers trying to miss him. That's a scary look behind you. That's also a good reason, too, why the dirt drivers don't have rear view mirrors, because when they see a pack like that behind them, their car is stopped while they're going fast. That could scare the heck out of you. So, Ross Corinna, the new leader on this restart. Followed by Gary Taylor, Barry Goldner, Blake Chapman from 22nd to 4th. Are you kidding me? And you got Patrick Spangler up here as well after he used a quick repair earlier in this race. Oh, Cote in the Gator Pit. Holy cow. That was a wicked ride. And the caution flag flies just after he put it in the pits. The car went by as he was towing it. He was trying to tow it in time so this race would stay green. That car, watch this. This is violent. It's ramped up on the cushion, I believe. Like that, ramped over the wall, then caught the, look at the top wake freak out. Just like disintegrated. Then he hit a chain link fence. Hopefully all those spectators in there are okay. Ooh, watch out there. Luckily there aren't too many spectators in that area. There's always a sold out crowd here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. So I believe the field is catching up to the pace car. Are we having a glitch or something? Well, this is interesting. We've got Tyler Wilson behind the Steve King Foundation pace truck. I think same with a couple other drivers. So we may have an extended yellow here. I'm not too sure. That's Tyler Wilson, and this is Ross Corinna. He's got drivers in front of him. I'm not sure what is going on here. I think they're asking him to stop. So I don't know what is happening here, but we've got I believe a glitch happened after that Chad Cote yellow was thrown. And so race control is asking Corinna to stop just so all the other drivers can catch back up. So this may be a manual restart here, not an iRacing restart when the pace truck goes in. Either that or they're waiting for the pace truck to go another rotation. I think we've got everything under control now. Yep, there's the pace truck. John Hine just letting the leaders go by. Lights are off. And so now they've turned the lights back on the pace truck. They have Brandon Templeton as the leader, but I thought Ross Corinna had the lead at the last completed green flag lap. And now they're saying Corinna's out in front. But then Templeton's... I don't know why Templeton's... Oh, yeah, he was involved in the accident. That's why. Not the Cote incident, but the accident beforehand. All right, I think we've got this all figured out here, but the lights are still on. I think we've got the scoring right here. But how about some of these drivers here that have made their way up through the field? Blake Chapman up 18 spots into 4th, and we're not even at the halfway point yet. Spangler has recovered from a wreck. He's in 6th. Steven Spees up from 18th to 5th. This has been one wild night, but Volusia never disappoints. All right. 21 to go. We're back to green. And Corinna holds her, but look who's up on top. That's the high side banger. Patrick Spangler in 6th. As he may go for 5th on Steven Spees. Spees let off the gas on entry. Ooh, man. Spangler had to get on the binders or else he was wrecking with the 55. That cost him a lot of time. Barker and Flair both get past. One riding the wall, and that's Kyle Sargent. Blake Chapman underneath for the 3 spot on Barry Goldner. At the line, he's got it. With 19 laps to go. Slide up and clear, though, is the question. He cannot. Coretta now opens up a lead to just about a second on Gary Taylor. Jeff Flairel. We just saw him lose the top wing for a moment back in 8th spot. But for some odd reason, he was able to regain it back. Thanks, iRacing. But Spangler and Spies continuing to race each other as hard as possible. Spies not giving up that 5th spot early. Spangler may have to slide job him for it. And there it is. The high side banger takes away 5th. Spies may want it back. Jeff Barker may want it as well. Let's go to Chapman. He's up with Taylor for 2nd. Taylor rolled the wall. He bikes it. Wheelie for Gary Taylor. Oh, baby. A little bit too much rear bite. Far wide in turn 4. That's going to end ugly. This is going to be bad. Holy cow. Nobody hit Jeff Kemper. Wow, give it up for these drivers. That was about to end ugly in a 4-wide situation. Flairel had it say. Chris Schaefer collects a piece of it, but nobody else was involved. Man, Bob DeGood nearly got involved in that too. It's right on board here with 181. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to present to you Gary Bleepin' Taylor. Look at this. That was cool. That was cool. Right on board with Gary in that. Look at this. A little bit too much throttle. He almost mooned it like he did at Kokomo. That is putting her to the floorboard, baby. Alrighty. So the lights are off. 14 to go when we take the green. Ross Corina leads and Blake Chapman from 22nd up to 2nd. Barry Goldner 3rd. Patrick Spangler after a wreck is in 4th. Gary Taylor in the 5th spot. Back to green. The salesman looking to go back to back. You see Spangler up on the high side, bounces off the wall. Barry Goldner attacks Blake for the 2nd spot. Chapman hangs on for right now. Here comes Spangler. Don't know where that run came from. Oh yeah, it came off the high side. As he looks for the bottom step of the podium, Steven Spies rides the wall. As Spangler takes 3rd for the lead. Chapman's got to run underneath. Tries to get that bite off at turn 4. They stay neck and tooth. Oh, that's some good racing. It looks a lot like Holland against Grande. Coretta just about biked it. Almost ramped up that cushion. But that cushion is so thick you can sit on it once again. But it could become a 3-car race for the lead shortly, because Patrick Spangler is closing in like Jaws. 10 laps to go at Fallujah for Ross Corina, but he's got the salesman, the high side banger on his tails. And a bad exit for Corina allows Chapman to try and close in. It's a car length entering turn 3. 9 to go. Clevenger, Sargent bounce off the wall, yellows out. And Sargent barrel rolls it side over side. Ugly wreck for the 91, and that will most likely end his night. Here's the look. Ooh, ramped it. A good save there at first, but oh, he got pummeled by Templeton. And look at that ride. Wow. Not the ride that that Sargent wanted to go on. Here's the ride on board. Saved it at first, and then boom, Templeton. And Sargent's just hanging on for dear life. Thank goodness for these sprint car chassis that kept him safe in the car. So now this race gets a little bit more interesting, as we'll have 8 to go on this restart. Gotta tell you though, Blake Chapman has something for Ross Corinna. If he can force the 10 car into making a mistake, he's got a chance at it. Who is it going to be? How's it going to be done? There is a favorite out there. Could it be the top 3 or could it be the field? About to find out. 8-lap shootout and a great restart for Corinna. Chapman caught sleeping. Does this help out Spangler? Spangler rips the cushion once again. Dancing with the devil off turn 2. He's got to run on corner exit. You just know it's coming, and closes in again on Blake Chapman with 7 laps to go. And Corinna gains some momentum as he tries to pull away from Chapman and Spangler. And Spangler with a big run off of 4. Chapman, though, slams the door right in his face with 6 circuits left. Spangler again off the wall once again. Remember, these are the 2 drivers that are going at it for the championship. 22 points entering the day. Schatzer has crashed. No caution. Don't know who got second to the line. It was way too close to call. And Spangler cannot clear Chapman down the back. Schatzer jumps into the pits. We stay green. 4 laps to go. This is exactly what Corinna wants to see. But he doesn't want to see a caution for Jack Clevenger. And Spangler got second at the line. Oh! There will be 3 to go when we take the green flag. You could just see that coming reading the script. On board Jack Clevenger to see what happened. Ooh, Hine ramped it in front of the 78. And Clevenger is on his side. Another angle. I think Hine just 360 it? I don't know. The angle cuts away. Ross Corinna has to have the restart of his life, with Patrick Spangler right behind him. At the same time, Spangler could just extend his lead just a tad bit. Entering Knoxville next week for the championship. Again, it's been one wild night here in Volusia. Probably one hot night, too. Set for the restart. Spangler tries the top once again. Just has one car to deal with in front of him, but could be two. Blake's still all over that tail tank for second. Blake's not leaving him off the hook that easy. 2 laps to go. Ross Carina could be running away for it would be his first win of the season as Spangler bounces off the wall. Same with Chris Schaefer. And Spangler may have to deal with second. Ross Carina, white flag is out, 1 lap to go for the boss. Who's gonna finish second in what could be, will be a close championship race entering Knoxville next week? Carina takes the checkers, he wins the feature. Spangler edges out Blake Chapman. Blake Chapman, though, is your hard charger. Second time tonight, a third place finisher gets hard charger from 22nd to 3rd. Talk with your top 3 in just a couple of moments. Ross Carina, the winner. Patrick Spangler, 2nd. Blake Chapman, 3rd. Barry Goldner, 4th. Steven Spees, 5th. Cole Ferguson, rather. How about that? Day 1 for Cole Ferguson in the Coast to Coast Racing League. Play Soup Night from the Raiders to finish 6th in the Renegades. That is an awesome night. He's the Michael Block of tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty cool. Chris Schaefer, 7th. Jesse Atkinson, 8th. Jeff Barker, 9th. Jeff Kemper, 10th. Gary Taylor, 11th. Terry Landis, 12th. Bobby Good, 13th. Roger Craig, 14th. John Hine, 15th. Tyler Wilson, 16th. Jack Clevenger, 17th. Kurt Schatzer, 18th. Brandon Templeton, 19th. And Kyle Sargent, 20th. 21st, Jeff Flaro, 22nd. Chad Cote, 23rd. Jack Hitt, and 24th. Preston Kramer. And we will get top 3 all in here in just a couple of moments. And I think we are ready to go. And that we are. Let's begin with our 3rd place finisher in Blake Chapman. Blake, you go from your graduation to finishing on the podium. Nice run there for you tonight, man.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Marty. The night didn't start off too well in the heat race and B-main and stuff. I didn't feel too good there, but starting in the back, I figured I was gonna have a pretty fast car, and I did there. And I just think it went away on me a little bit there at the very end. But coming all the way back from 22nd or wherever I started, I'll definitely take a podium.
But yeah, what a charge from 22nd to 3rd. Were you trying as well to hold off Patrick Spangler there at the end because of, with the drops coming on in, how close it was, a 22-point gap?
Yeah, and I knew he was going to be fast up top. He's always fast up on the cushion. I'm sure he will be next week, too, no matter where we're at. I'm not sure where we're at, but yeah, he runs that cushion better than anybody, and I was trying to hold him off for as long as I could, but like I said, I think the car just went away a little bit at the end there, and or it might have been just the middle got slow when the top came back in, but just needed to be a 30-lap race. That might have helped me out a little bit, but overall, not a bad run.
And so you go into Knoxville next week. What are you thinking going on in? How tough is it going to be to go against Spangler, who won that race last year?
Yeah, he's always fast there, and recently I've been pretty hit and miss there. Either I'm really fast or I just don't have it. So hopefully you catch me on a night where I got a really good setup in the car and it's fast. So it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
My parents, grandparents for watching and supporting all the boys down at the Kreitz Sim Racing Team and the Can-Am Racing Team. And of course, I got to give a shout out to Galen's Gourmet Popcorn. Head over to their website, use code CART, C-A-R-T at checkout for 15% off some of their delicious popcorn. And I got to thank you for putting this on, Marty.
Alrighty, man. Well, we'll let you go. Great run tonight, and congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Marty.
Let's go to our second place finisher in Patrick Spangler. Patrick, what a recovery from you after being involved in the first caution. How'd you do it?
I got lucky. There was that caution in turn one because I came out. I had a tow. Came out after they took the green. Usually puts them down a lap, but I think because they're such a quick caution, I kept me in the lead lap, and then everybody would mainly stay off the top side, and I was just able to work my way back up to the podium spot.
Absolutely. What more did you need for Ross, though, at the end?
I think maybe if the last caution had come out, I might have had a run on it, but he was pretty. I don't know how him and Blake were making it work in the slick, but they were making it work, and I was just a tad off on the top.
So you've got next week. Should be a good one. Your points lead still a slim margin over Blake Chapman, somewhere in the 20 to 30 point range. With the drops next week in Knoxville, how are you feeling going on in? Obviously, you won the race last year to help you win the championship.
Yeah, I think it's down to like 16 points. I just updated, so it'll be a tight one.
Okay.
But yeah, Knoxville, I've been fairly nice to me, except for on Hometown Heroes nights. But hopefully, I can just stay out of trouble, keep a clean race, and hopefully bring home another W and another championship.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
Shout out to you for the awesome broadcast each week. Roger for running the league. Train Wheels Racing. Tyler had an unfortunate event, just got spun to the pits there. Dad and Uncle back home watching, and wish the bandy guys would come back out and race to jump into the other league. But we had one bandy guy, Barry, out there, but nice to get the other guys out there. So hopefully they come back for next week's finale.
Appreciate the time, man. Congratulations. Great run. Best of luck next week.
Thanks.
Patrick Spangler, our second place finisher. Now it's time to go to Extreme E-Speed Victory Lane. Let's talk with your winner in Ross Carina. Ross, congratulations on the win, man. I got to ask you, when Patrick Spangler got that second spot and then the final caution came out, were there any nerves?
Oh, yeah. I knew he was coming. I just thought to myself, obviously the restart was going to be key there, and I think I got a pretty good one and was just able to keep my cool in the middle, and luckily the top wasn't fast enough for him to catch me, and I was able to hold him off.
How much fun was that race early on in the going?
Yeah, it's good. It'd be nice to get a little more green flag laps going here. It seems like the last couple of weeks we've had a lot of yellows. But I mean, it's still fun when you can intertwine with the people up front, and you can you're not banging tires, but if you're not, you could fit a piece of paper in between them. It's really close racing, and it's really fun to do that.
Where did you feel, in your opinion, your car was better than Patrick and Blake tonight?
Well, I told them both when we were in the waiting room. I think obviously the top was faster. I ran it for the beginning of the race, and there's a couple times where I hit the whoop session, quote unquote whoop session, right under the NOS sign, and kind of turned it sideways. And I thought to myself, if I keep pushing it up here, it's not going to end very well. And luckily, I pulled my wing back a little bit, and I was able to run the middle and kind of keep it just nice and steady, and just keep a good enough pace where they couldn't get around me.
So next week we've got Knoxville. What's the outlook look like in that one for the season finale?
Well, I think kind of everybody in this league knows that when we go to Knoxville, we're probably going to be chasing Spangler around, right? So if you can try to keep up with them or even get in front of them, it's usually a good run no matter what. So hopefully I should be able to make it. Don't think I got all the planting done here today, so should be free to come do the finale and see what happens. Hopefully, it can steal a one away from them.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
I'd like to thank Trevor Meyer over at M9 for the setups. Thing rips on the top. Just got to learn how to drive a little better. Phantom Motorsport guys, Bandybuilt guys, Weichel Sportswear, Velocity Race Design, Power Outdoors. You guys for putting on the show, and Roger and everybody behind the scenes keeping this thing going.
Congratulations on the win, man. Nice job.
Thank you.
Ross Carina, your winner. He's an Extreme E-Speed TV victory lane. So Patrick just confirmed it with us, our statistician. It is a 16-point lead for Spangler on Chapman entering next week. Oh boy, we are going to be in for a treat. That should be a fun one. When you take a look, Spangler looking to continue his hot streak when it comes to championships. He is looking for, if I'm doing my notes correctly, he is looking for his 4th, I believe, Renegades title. Nope, check that. Nope, it would be his 4th if he is able to get it done. It would be his, again, we mentioned it would be his 4th. As for Blake Chapman, he is looking for his 9th ever title overall in the Coast to Coast Racing League. But in the Renegades, it would be, as we continue to do the math, it would be his 3rd and his 1st since the 2021 fall season. In for a treat. You don't want to miss out on it. We're looking forward to it. So that'll do it for us here. So glad you could join us on the Coast to Coast Racing Network all night long on behalf of everyone and all the fine drivers and sponsors of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Roger Craig and Preston Kramer, our admins. Shout out to Roger as well as John Hine as my booth partners this evening. Marius Callis sign off. Congrats to your winners, Dustin Sargent, Joseph Grandy, and Ross Carina. So long, everyone.